When I was young, they told me I should put the pencil away. I gotta color the picture because
You're listening to the Pickleball Lounge podcast, Toledo's home for all things pickleball. News, tips, and local action served weekly. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Pickleball Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Eli Williams, and this week we've got quite the exhilarating story coming ahead. I'm here with Jeff, a good friend of mine, and a coach just like myself down at Toledo Pickle. I'll kind of let him get into a bio on his own, but one quick announcement is we are starting to sell our merch shirts. As you can see, I'm wearing one. I was going to say you can see Sean, but you cannot see Sean. He's not on camera. But we're starting to sell those cotton t-shirts, short sleeves, athletic wear, long sleeves like I'm wearing, and I think we're doing these in short sleeve as well, right? You can find those prices on my Instagram or on Facebook, or we'll put a link in the bio on our YouTube. But I'm not going to talk too much. Got quite the story coming ahead. Jeff, kind of give us your background. Give us why you're here today.
Sure. Well, I've been playing pickleball since probably before you guys in 2017, 16, something like that. So quite a while. But before that, I played different sports, heavily volleyball like Bill. Oh,
okay.
20 plus years of volleyball like that, golf, and other sports. And but I started in the workforce very early. I went to small high school and ultimately got out of there and went to college out in Archibald and actually Northwest State.
There we go.
Representing
that.
Northwest State, and I'm now distinguished alumni there and Defiance College. Now I got inducted over there.
Awesome.
And did their commencement speech, actually, was one of my things for my book.
So you're the most famous person we've had on so far.
It's it was an interesting thing with 3,000 people or something like
wow.
that doing their commencement speech. And I had that time a #1 best-selling book that all the graduates got. I had signed, and I could hand it to them. They had me part
very
of the
cool.
procession, so I could actually hand it to them when I had done the talk. So interesting experiences, but ultimately I started in work real early, got a really good break when I was at Northwest, just after Northwest State maybe, Defiance College, I guess. And I became a CFO at just over 20 years old of a company that was doing, I don't know, $12-14 million. Pretty good sized company, 2 entities. And I got a break by the president, and if I could sort of bail them out of something, he said, I'm going to make you the CFO. I did that and became that for a number of years. We grew quite a bit. I went on to become the COO then of that company at about 26 or so. And then ultimately came to town here, Toledo, to take on a consulting role and start my MBA, as I had gone from Northwest State to Defiance College, finished there in 4 different areas. And then, but I did all this at night. So I liked work, but I wanted the degrees, so I did those at night and weekends and stuff. And so it was always pretty hyper like that, playing sports and dating and this and that. And so went on to Toledo here, consulting, and then they needed to be turned around. This company I started consulting with quickly, and they didn't know it at the time, but they ultimately started losing some, and then I did my first business turnaround, which I've gotten fairly good at. That and real estate turnarounds. That's how I got into both of those, as I got good at sort of figuring out something that's bleeding pretty heavily, a company or real estate, and getting it turned around and back into health, basically. And that's what I did with that company. And in doing that, I became the CEO, actually, of the company, partnered with the family that owned it and had started it. And then we grew that company from 5 offices, sort of more local, to 22 offices, covering almost all of Ohio, southern Michigan, from Lansing down all the way to the border, Kentucky, and then over to West Virginia. And we were actually talking about going into West Virginia when it sold. Yeah. But that's how I actually got through a lot of these things. And ultimately, like I said, that company, we grew it like crazy. Myself and the family owned it. And then the industry changed quite a bit. So we ultimately both sold. My partner was nearing retirement, retired psychologist in that case. And I then sold mine out too, and went back and finished law school to become an attorney during that. So I had finished my MBA, the CPA, and another master's.
Did you have any free time?
At night. And then had gone back to law school and finished that about the same time I finished the sale of the company and
Goodness.
got licensed in Ohio and Michigan. And so when I got out, that was early 2001-ish kind of time, and cleaned up the company and had a bunch of rental homes I had accumulated over the time that I had started selling. So I cleaned up everything, sort of got liquid, as I call it, and then got everybody considered me overqualified. And I
Understandable.
have sort of struggled with that locally since then. I've done all kinds of things: consulting, multiple business turnarounds, multiple real estate turnarounds,
Writing your own
written a
books.
book. I launched the book series. To launch that, I promoted it into #1 bestseller on Amazon by doing a 2-month promotion campaign that went all over the place. We had 700 or 800 targeted, very specific emails to people that I would partner with, and then they could then promote it on their list for their audience on the launch day.
Interesting, yeah.
And I took a whole program to show how to get it to #1 bestseller. That was
Oh.
the whole course I took to figure out the process, and did that, and did 60 radio shows. I did a 3-part cable show. I did a whole bunch of talks, different places, all kinds of things, blog, other stuff.
Yeah.
So bunches of stuff.
Yeah,
Just
so
like
you're
you do
used
your
to this type of thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just like you would your podcast, like I'm going to now this newer brand. Well, actually, we can probably show it now.
Go right ahead.
I just got this. This is my newest book that just came to me yesterday, actually. Common Sense. You can see CENTS. And it's all financial based. It's really about how to get a bigger net income, cut your expenses, keep them trimmed, and get a bigger net income, pay your debt off, and put it into investments. So like we've talked about with the stock thing, it's that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Ultimately, that's the fun. There's a 3-part series. There's 2 other ones
Okay.
outlined. This is the one to get your income, get your net higher,
Okay.
then pay off the debt and continue to get it.
Are those found on Amazon, right?
This will be. It's technically, this is my proof copy,
Okay.
because as an author, you usually should have a proof you order that is your final view before you put it live on Amazon.
Right.
That's what this one is. It's so all the stuff I used multiple pieces of software, and I happen to take a new course this year that was how to write and publish a book in 90 days. It's by a guy that I've dealt with multiple times out of Florida, and I was his beta course. And now he's in the second version of that course, and I had to learn his whole process and use software called Atticus to write the book. And there's Grammarly, there's Hemingway. Those are editor kinds of things that use AI.
Sure.
Then ChatGPT is used, so this is called AI-assisted writing now. So I used ChatGPT and had to learn how to use that.
Yeah.
Have this sort of help me. And then my wife is a law review editor like I was, and she's better than I am at editing. And
There you
so she's my redliner. So we'll go into track changes on Word. She'll mark up all kinds of things. I'll go back in and accept or reject the change one by one and clean it up. And then, like I said, my 84-year-old mom, who just had her birthday yesterday,
Happy birthday
is
to
one
her.
of my last editors.
That's
And
awesome.
She caught an error none of us did last time.
Really?
In the #1.
Interesting.
It's unbelievable. I'm having her read one. So I have 3 of these proofs. Beth, my wife will have one, my mom will have one, and I'll have one.
You're keeping it in the family.
We'll go through it over the next week and nitpick anything, because then I can go back into Atticus, change anything I want, re-upload the manuscript into Amazon, which it's already there. So, but in Amazon, the very last step is click the button to say publish.
Right.
And so you can say, give me a proof before you publish. So everything's loaded and ready to go. If it's okay, I'll hit that button.
Okay. Is it a relief once you hit the button?
It is, but you can actually re-upload
Okay.
even after that. You don't know that because Amazon is primarily a print-on-demand, POD printer,
Sure.
and therefore they don't have any inventory of these books. And
Interesting.
therefore, if this had a
They'll just
couple
print
errors
it
in
out.
Yeah, then somebody orders it after I catch an error and re-upload a new manuscript. They'll
Interesting.
get the newest one. And so it's all a live kind of setting with print on demand
Right.
now. They bought a company called Create Space years ago, and that's what they did. They were good at it, and so Amazon, being Amazon, gobbled them.
Right. So with you doing all these things, it doesn't seem like you have any free time whatsoever. How did you get into pickleball?
I was playing competitive volleyball, and right on the other side of the screen in the big gym out in Premier at Maumee, they had started playing pickleball.
Interesting.
And some older folks, actually. And I used to play multiple tennis and racquetball and some other things. So I had racket sport kind of things. And so I went over, and I knew my back was getting near the end of volleyball at that point.
Fair.
I have 2 herniated discs and what's called a spondylolisthesis, which L5, the bottom disc detached a little bit. So I knew my back was getting near the end of volleyball, and I said, let's go over and try that. And I tried it with them, started doing that, finished volleyball, and transitioned in. And that's how we end up to the story.
Okay.
So that's probably the best transition, really, is I had gotten fairly good for that time, not quite to our level now, but for that time, there wasn't near as many people playing then as there is now. And so there was a higher end group of us that played every Tuesday night at Holland Strawberry Acres, over 7 courts now. And Mike Yunker, so Brian Yunker's dad, was the mayor at that time of Holland. And he had helped bring it there as one of the first places.
Yeah.
And he played with us, actually. Not then, but he had moved down to Florida, but he had played with us quite a bit. And I'll bring him in a minute. He had gone on to Florida, taken that job down there. And so we were playing this league, 10 of us. And what I didn't know is there was a GoPro video on the fence behind us. I didn't realize people were taping us because they wanted to see our techniques.
Sure.
Lots of newer people. So we're playing that. I had a self-storage business at the time. I'd bought out of foreclosure, and I had been running that. I was getting ready to sell it, but I'd been showing a buyer out by the airport, Wyatt Yoder, who played with us, played with Rob a lot.
Okay.
And Rob was playing with me at the time, so he's played a long time too. And he had convinced me, you can just come for a little while, it work out. And because I had a board meeting later that night, and he knew I was going to try to fit it in between. I came there, and I was in my last game. So we're playing, it happened to be October 9th, 2018, date, because it's coming up here for my 7-year anniversary. And we were in the last game. It was about 80, it was low 80s. October 9th, picture that, versus today it's 60.
It's beautiful out.
But I mean, high at 68 versus then it was in the 80s. It was the last hot day of the year. And I wasn't noticing anything. So we're playing along. I'm in the last game, playing, fortunately, an MD, urologist, and Dave Brown, if you don't know, and Dave Rice is playing with me, big, if you know Dave Rice, big guy. We're playing along. I had just taken us up. We were 9-7 near the end. Throw me the ball, and I stand up, and the world starts spinning like crazy, like I'm in a tornado. And that makes you super dizzy. And so I, face first, I drop. And so I collapse forward, scraping my face and stuff, and don't move. And Dave, who's 6'4", 270 probably, rolls me over. He worked out at North Star Steel out in Delta. They're very safety conscious. They have a safety director. Everybody has to take CPR, AED all over the plant, all that stuff. He rolls me over. He said, "Shit, he's blue. He's not breathing." And so he starts CPR hard, and that's usually breaking your ribs. And a big guy, so he starts that hard. They see color come back. An RN was on the next court, comes over, and she's checking, makes her airways clear so that the air is coming in and out. They see it working. And so Greg, the MD, Greg Hazelhun, the urologist across the net, trying to get vitals, and see, I saw the video. Remember, that it was on GoPro.
Yeah.
That's the only way I know some of the detail, but some of it I can't watch. Nonetheless, so he's trying to get vitals, and he's getting nothing. Well, adrenaline's hitting everybody by then.
Right.
And so what we also see is Al Hager, if you know who that is.
Sure.
He was on the next court. He was calling 911 immediately. You can hear him talking to him, getting him over. Fred Borgerson and Wyatt are calling my phone, trying to find my bag to call my wife. And they're running around, and Tom Wells was doing some other things. And so different people, Rob was doing stuff. And so people are, racing around just trying, figuring out what to do. Adrenaline's flowing like crazy. And I'm still not coming to. And it's CPR, CPR, CPR. And so police get there at about 3.5 minutes. Guy, sort of a bodybuilder kind of little guy. And he takes over CPR. And he's going at it hard, too. Another 3 minutes or so. EMTs finally get there. Because remember, they're right around the corner on McCord there. Yeah. They took the wrong route to get in the park, so they were lost. They got back. Fire trucks out there, the whole road stopped out in front, no cars coming, and sirens and the whole thing going. And EMTs are bringing equipment over and stretcher, and they get there and they put something called, I think it's Lucas, of a manual or an automated machine that does CPR.
Okay.
So it's not a person now doing it. It's very perfect.
Yeah.
It's a machine doing CPR. It's got a name like Lucas or something. And so that was doing it. They saw that wasn't working. And so at about 10 minutes, they hook up the AED defibrillator, the paddles. Nobody knows what that is. And they hit me once. And I come back partially to VFib, they call it, which is sort of when you see the mountain ranges.
Right.
It's not normal, but it's going.
It's at least
places.
something.
Yeah, it's partial. So they hit me harder a second time, and I'm back. Sinus rhythm. So now it's the normal way you see it. And so the guy then, the EMT, starts asking me, did you do this? Did where you at? What day it is? What year it is? I said, I told him all that. I said, and I'm serving, and it's 9/7. I'm right there.
How do you remember that?
The guy looks at me like, holy crap. And he told me afterwards, I've never seen anybody come back, ever.
Yeah.
And what you find out is I had what's called a widowmaker heart attack, which by the name of it, obviously, it's a 97% death rate.
Wow.
So most people don't come back, as obviously you can hear. And so I end up going across the grass on the stretcher. The group I was playing with picked up their equipment. They said, okay, let's go. And he starts yelling because it was the first time he'd ever seen anybody come back.
Sure.
And he knew it was probably a heart issue, and they know you don't know what's going to happen next. We got to get him to the hospital. And so everybody picks up the equipment and goes over. They take me across the grass on the thing, and I'm balancing, and I touch the guy's hand as he's going across, and I'm still groggy, what the heck's happening. And I said, tell me somebody got the plate of that damn bus that just and he just looked at me like, go, let's go. And then he you can tell he's like, that guy knows what is happening. Because you can lose memory until I was out 10 minutes, gone. So you can lose memory. You can do all kinds of lose function and everything else. So we get over there, get me in. My wife shows up about that. She's just walking up, but the whole road's blocked off and stuff. She has to park over at the VFW or whatever's over there. And she's walking up, and Wyatt sees her, and he's yelling, get over here, let's go. And they were just loading me, and she thought I'd sprained my ankle or something. And I've had some back things here and there, sprained this and that. So she thought it was just something like that because Fred did a great job on the call to her. You know who Fred? Fred? Yeah. He said, now, Jeff has gone down. Probably want to come here because I think they're going to. Now, nobody knew what was happening, really, but he stayed calm,
didn't want to panic her.
Freak her out. Yeah. And so when she gets there, she's like, sirens, there's fire trucks, there's all kinds of shit happening. And I'm getting loaded in, and then she gets in up front. He said, get up front, you just go, we got to go. And so they were putting stuff on, monitor things, patches and all that stuff. And she starts hearing him radio in, like,
Yeah.
what? So
Yeah.
she starts getting, oh, shoot, this is not a sprained ankle.
Not quite.
And so they don't really know what's happened by then. And so basically, rush over to UTMC. They do aspirin, they do this, that, and immediate stuff for thinning blood and all that kind of stuff. So if you've got a real big problem. And so do all that. And one of the funny parts was I have real narrow feet, and so I have to get this narrow shoes. And I put 2 or 3 pairs of socks. When they get wet, you can barely get my shoes off without really taking the laces out further.
Yeah.
And the nurse starts to take that stuff off because I'm sweaty. It's 85. We were playing for an hour and a half.
And you're just
outside.
dead.
And I'm sweaty and all kinds of stuff. And I said, you're gonna be tough to get the. I've done this for 10 years. I know how to do this. And it's about 5 minutes later. He's like, okay, how do I get the shoes off? She couldn't get my shoes off. And so, anyways, it's just funny because she had attitude with me, and then she never could get them off. So, it rushed me into what's called heart catheterization lab. And I didn't really know what's happening entirely, but I heard the guy say, and I wasn't supposed to be awake, but I heard him say, I can't get the stents in. I got to get out. He's fully blocked. A year before that, I was with my dad in putting stents in his heart when it gets a bit of a blockage. And I knew what he meant then. And I happened to be awake during that enough to hear, oh, this is really not good.
Yeah.
This is really not good. He can't get the stents in. And then my mind said, oh, that means surgery. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
That's really not good. And so I'm starting to put pieces together because I'm becoming less groggy and putting things I'm hearing together. And so we get out of that, go back, get me in a room finally, and everything. And I'm stable. I'm fine. They put all the monitors and stuff and all this kind of stuff. And everything's fine. But they said you've got 100% blockage in what's called LAD, the big artery, an 80% blockage in a second one. And that's normally 100% death because you've got another problem on top of that. And so anyways, the heart cath showed that stuff and said, you got to have surgery. You got to have bypass. In this case, a double bypass. And so ultimately one of the other great parts of this story is UTMC had lost both cardiothoracic surgeons, which are the people that saw your sternum open.
It's not ideal.
No, because that's how they do bypass. That's why I've got a big incision through my chest and sternum, is because they have to saw your sternum open and put spreaders on and open it, go in and put your heart and lungs on bypass and all kinds of stuff. So it's a 8-hour kind of surgery. Let's see. So I am back in the room. Everything's sort of good, but we find out that they are on rotation with other hospitals for cardiothoracic surgeons. They hadn't got a replacement yet. So the guy that happens to be here now is the Cleveland Clinic specialist, like the #1 heart hospital in the country, and he's on rotation.
Perfect.
And so ultimately I get a time with him. Really, it was the next day. So that was a Tuesday night. Wednesday, we thought I might have to go into surgery Wednesday. And so I didn't eat, and then wasn't eating all day, and then he got hung up, and so he didn't get there till like 5. Went through a whole bunch of stuff with us, a couple hours. I'm a pros and cons guy. When I've done all these things, I literally have a list, and I start writing.
Yeah.
And when you're thinking open heart surgery with somebody you don't even know, and you don't really know what's going to happen, and you're just coming out of what are really 4 traumas. That's what they had. On the rehab, I'll mention something here. But these traumas make your body beat up, we'll just call it. And I was pretty fit and target weight and athlete for lots of years and everything. and non-smoker, non-drinker. So all those were good, and that's what he knew, the surgeon.
Right.
And so when he came in, he said, "I've got one slot left, and I want yours." He wanted to win,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
Because he said, "You're like 25 years too early for this." And I don't know why it happened. We may never know. But the other thing that we found out from the heart cath was he said, "Let me show you these things." This is the cardiologist, my current cardiologist. There are a lot of little white vein-looking things around the little blockages that are dark. Those are collaterals, and those your body will like rotor-rooter around a blockage and hook back in below it. But it
Interesting.
takes years for those to dig their way through and reconnect, and I had several connected. He said, "So you've been blocked for many years.
Wow.
You've been playing competitive volleyball, all this stuff, and you just didn't even know it. And you had enough flow with those collaterals to not cause this earlier."
Wow.
So there was all kinds of weird stuff that you don't know about your body. So anyways, he came in, did all that. He said, "But I got to know by," that was Wednesday night, so Thursday sometime, to schedule the team, because you're going in surgery Friday.
Yeah.
So it's Tuesday, it's Wednesday, now you're going in Friday for open heart. And so did all the pros and cons, were trash, frankly, because I hadn't gotten any sleep hardly, and I had just come out of all this mess. But we did it. We went through the whole thing, and at 2 a.m. on Thursday, I said, "Give me the nurses in ICU, cardio ICU, have a red phone. It's to the surgeon." And it's a little red iPhone, and that's directly to him. If that rings, you answer it always. And so he said, "Text that iPhone to let him know, schedule that thing." And he said, "I want to pick my team. I always do when I'm here. I pick my team, anesthesiology and all these people." And so he did that Thursday, and I went into open heart about 6 a.m. Friday morning. And then I think I was back in post-op at about 4:30, 4:30, something like that. So really long surgery. You look terrible when you come out. And they had told everybody, you got to brace yourself, because they load you up with a whole bunch of fluid to keep things flowing and this and that. And so you look really bloated, you look dead, you look everything. Terrible for a while. And so came out of that, and went well, he said. And it's a short time, within less than a day, you're standing. I mean,
That's crazy.
Now they obviously, I was fit and
Right,
everything,
yeah.
younger and all this stuff. It wasn't overweight and all that stuff. But yeah, about a day or so. But when they came out, they had moved me just before this to a bigger room, because they said, "We need that for the extra equipment that'll come back with you." And when you come out, I have a picture of that equipment, and it looks like there's no way you're gonna.
Right.
It looks like you just got a myriad of stuff going on. I had 3. He uses a lot of fluid, but he also used the biggest drainage tube. 3 drainage tubes about the size of my finger in your chest, like one over the side, goes between your ribs and all the way down in your heart, and it's fluid.
Goodness.
And there's three tubs on the ground, and it's pumping fluid all the time for a while. So I've got these things. Now I've got stuff everywhere. And ultimately, to take those out, they nurse up on the bed. Another nurse standing next to you. And they're what they call purse string stitches around them already. And they'll just get both hands, one on your chest, one on the thing, and just take big deep breath.
Woof.
And it's been about this far. And then the purse string goes closed, because they got to close you up really quick.
Yeah.
You're going to spurt, basically. And so they do that to pull the tubes out once you've drained enough, because they know how much they want in the tubs. And so I wanted those out the first as quick as possible. Get the 3 big drainage. This one was between your ribs, and every time you breathe, it made it hurt, because it wasn't a big gap for the tube. But anyways, he said, "Unfortunately, you're going to be in pain for a while, because I use the biggest tubes, but they're going to get it out quicker." And so that's good. And so he did, got all that done, went through all the stages, and the cardiac ICU and then step down nurses have 12-hour shifts, and they really work their tail off.
I can imagine.
It's crazy amount of stuff that they are monitoring. And I got to know them, and they sort of liked me. I'm a smart ass, and so I was smart ass with them all the time. And so they'd come in and do their notes for other people in my room, because it was a little station. And so it actually was fine, but I'm pretty hyper and didn't want to be there very long. And so he said, you're normally going to be there about 8 days after this, and we've got this whole checklist of stuff you got to go through, and you got to check off everyone, or I don't let you go. And the Cleveland Clinic guy had to go back. So it was Friday. He had to go back by the end of the weekend to the Cleveland Clinic. His shift was over, and he said, I absolutely hate this. That's why I almost didn't take the surgery, because he said, I stay with the people until they're good, and my patients. And so he would call in regularly on that red phone, and they'd be in there reading him all the things on all the monitors and everything. And it all went well, and I got all those things checked off. And the weirdest part was, remember, I had been playing pretty competitive ball, and so that was Tuesday. So Friday had the surgery, so that was probably Sunday-ish. And she said physical therapy and occupational therapy had come in and talked to me for quite a while, and she said, but you're going to have to do these walks. And the one goes this short little hallway, and the other goes a little longer hallway, and that's on the list. And I said, I was just playing, 4 days ago, competitive, hard. I can walk down that little hallway. So she said, don't believe you know what's coming next.
Yeah.
And then she explained heart attack, CPR, double defibrillator, heart catheterization, open heart surgery. Those are 5 traumas in a row that you just took on, and most people can't survive that. I guarantee you it's going to beat your body up some. So I said, okay. And so she put sort of like a weight belt on around my thing, and she said, let's try it was, probably Monday-ish, Sunday-ish, 2 days after, and I could get enough of the things removed that then I could unhook the others and walk. And I start down there, and I'm weaving, hobbling, and I'm like, oh shoot, what is happening here?
Yeah.
And she's like, I told you, it beat the hell out of your body. Most people can't take that. You're just fortunate you did. And so he had a hold of this weight belt thing, and she thought most people are going to go down.
Yeah.
And I got to catch him. And so I start walking slowly, and she's like, just take it slow. And I'm going, I bet you I'm going 40 feet.
Yeah.
Like a little distance.
Yeah.
This little hallway, and I come back slowly, and I'm just barely making it to the bed. And so it shocked me.
Yeah.
It shocked the heck out of me to know that. And then I had to make a hallway about 3 times that to get out, which I ultimately did on the 4th day, and 4 days I was out.
Wow.
Out of the 8. And he said, I don't let this early, but in your particular case, you've checked them all off. And so 4 days later, I'm walking out, and that's when we start getting a little scared, because we saw what those nurses had been, all that stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God, I don't know what to do now, because I've got a 10-inch big incision.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of stuff that's just getting taken out of me for the first time, all these IVs and all this medication and all this stuff.
You're on your own.
And then they came in with a list of 10 or 12 medications.
Mm.
I hadn't taken anything. And you take this one this many times, and this one this many times, this one with food, and this one in the morning, this one at night. And Jesus, we're like, holy crap. And so I got this whole list of crap. And so that was a struggle. But we got home, and just you have to take a step at a time, man.
Right.
And so getting a shower for 8 days later, after I'd been playing in 85 degrees.
Yeah, true.
Well, I mean, this was a strange and very hard thing. I have a seat built into our shower. I couldn't stand up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that kind of weird stuff was happening. And all kinds of strange things. So I started finally when I could be up and walking on my own. And my wife went back after like a week or so of work, and we got the medications in order and started understanding what to do when. And I started attending the storage and my other stuff, and then I started a walking pattern. And I would go, one house, and then the next time I'd go 2 houses and come back because nobody was with me,
Right.
and everybody was like at work and whatever. But he said, "You got to do this, man. You got to do this to get you back quick." And so there were a couple times I got like 3 or 4 houses down, and so it's a extremely
shock on your
freaky
body.
experience to just get your mind wrapped around. I was just sprinting all over the
Yeah.
place, and I can't even walk 4 houses and back.
Yeah.
And they're in a little neighborhood. It's just little lots. It's not very
Yeah.
far. And my neighbor happened to be home during the day, and she said, "If you ever see you had a problem, just call me wherever I can come out and help." And because she knew I was doing the walk 4 houses, and walk
Right,
back,
yeah.
walk 5 houses, walk back. And so I kept doing that and getting more strength and more this and that. Get through a number of the medications you only do for a short time because it's like getting the rest of the fluid out of you is one thing, and doing this is another thing, and doing this is another thing, and so you
Right.
keep getting rid of medications quickly. And so anyways, you can start cardiac rehab. You have to start at least after 6 weeks from surgery because that's when your sternum heals. And during that time, you can't drive, can't lift anything, you can't twist, you can't do most things you think about. Most steps are sort of off the grid at that point.
Yeah.
And so no gallons of milk, so
Yeah.
nothing.
You can't do anything.
It's like 2 or 3 pounds max because you got to make certain you don't disrupt. They wire your sternum back together and then glue it. And then you've got to make certain that bone heals strong enough to where you don't throw it off
Right.
like angled or anything. And so I stuck to that entirely. And I said, I'm not going to take a chance on going through this again. And so did that. And at 6 weeks, on just the day after Thanksgiving, I started cardiac rehab. And you do that I did it through the end of the year, and then I did the rest at just a Planet Fitness right near me because
Yeah.
I knew the process then. And it's just building yourself back up for about 12 weeks. I played pickleball in the second half of it, but I had a heart thing or a chest strap with a wristwatch, and it told me pulse all the time and heart rate, and she had told me through rehab that never get it above 150, and you back off immediately, and you do some few deep breaths and the
Sure.
whole thing. And I got used to I could bring my heart rate down 10 in about 3-4 seconds.
Wow.
I figured out how to do it and how to breathe and the whole thing. And so you learn a ton of stuff.
Yeah,
through that.
absolutely.
And came back, and within about 6 or 7 months, I had won 2 tournaments.
Wow.
I had whole medals and the whole thing. And
Yeah.
so, had come back a long ways. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
so yes, that's
That's
the intense story.
yeah. That's not your typical pickleball story
No,
that most
no.
people have.
And so I'd have people coming though near me because it got spread all over the place. And there was even a prayer circle outside the fence right when we were getting CPR.
Yeah.
All kinds of stuff. And so numbers of them saw me then later, and they would touch me and like, I got to feel what a miracle feels
Sure.
like.
Yeah.
And so you'd have people I didn't know come
Yeah.
up, and they all kinds of weird stuff.
I bet it makes the outlook on life feel a little different for you, I'm sure.
You learn to take what I forced myself to do, because you heard how busy I was. It forced me to remember what's really important, and if somebody cuts you off on the freeway, or rear end like comes up too close, or
Sure.
whatever it is, lots of things like that you might get mad at.
Doesn't
Let it
matter
go.
anymore.
Let it go.
Yeah.
And then I had learned, in my first book, I did meditation, breathing to focus. And that's what you do, is you flip into meditation breathing right when you start getting that,
Yeah.
just relax, let it go. let it go.
Yeah, it's probably I should purchase your book and learn a couple of those things for the pickleball court.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's actually a book right now I'm reading that's very similar to that called Let Them is the title. And it's really just let them do what they're doing. You may not agree with it, may be totally wrong, but you can't control it.
Right.
It's the same kind of
let
it go, let them, same kind of.
Well, it's not your typical story, and it's not the only time we're going to have Jeff on this episode. He was telling me right before this he's got 10 others, yeah. 10 other near-death experiences. I can't even say that I have one. Maybe I have one. I'll make one up. We'll have Jeff on again. It's not your typical story. This will almost seem like a story episode series. I guess we'll go with that type of thing, but focus on some of his stories throughout this. Tell us where we can find your books. You're a coach down at Toledo Pickle. Tell us how you can book you for a lesson.
Sure.
All you have to do is touch Jeff and you're a 5-0 duper. That's what it seems like. So tell us some of those before we close.
Sure. One thing you'd learn about me, and I think Dylan, when we played, remember back a month or two ago, you said, I sort of like playing with you. And it was, I play strategically and tactically. And it's because I'm much older than you can tell. Everybody here, much older. And fortunately, people guess younger, but I am much older. And so I'm not going to play like the 25, 30-year-old people.
Sure.
I'm going to protect my knees and my hips and stuff and keep them moving well. But that forces me to be tactical and strategic rather than power.
Yeah.
And that's how, when Dylan and I were playing, remember, we won that thing, and you're like, oh my God, that was really cool. Well, it's not because I'm more powerful than somebody or faster. I'm not going to be either. I'm going to be tactical and strategic.
Smarter than all of us.
And that's just how I work life, frankly. And so you can book us down there, any of us. Obviously, we've got cards now even.
We
go
do.
online to ToledoPickle.com and do it. And let's see, we've done all kinds of classes at this point, in individuals, groups, all kinds of events. That's a good thing to look at too, lots of parties and birthdays and everything else. The books, this one is called Financial Relief University, which I'll flip it over at the top. That is a brand I built back a little ways, and I've never really promoted it yet, and I may start that. That's one of the possible things I said of jobs that I have on hold, is promote that. Similar to the Dave Ramsey kind of thing, but definitely my twist with having been CFO for many years and COO and that kind of stuff. So financialreliefuniversity.com or financialreliefu.com. I've got both of them. The first series was called Life's Cheat Sheets, and it's Success Habits School Didn't Teach. It was the subtitle, and it's heard all the degrees I have. I learned a lot of things outside of those degrees, and that's what the book is about. It's all the stuff that really matters, that especially younger people, but really young, middle age. Everybody needs to know, but many times you don't get taught anywhere. It's actually the first 3 books in that series are the launch book I took to #1 bestseller, and that's also lifescheatsheets.com. So it's the same deal. So both of them are still out there. This one, like I said, isn't quite out yet, but will be in about a week.
Okay.
And then there's 2 others that I have outlined right now in this series that now that I have that 90-day book program down, I'm going to try to duplicate that a couple times.
Awesome. And we have one more little tradition we do. Anyone that comes on the podcast signs the Pickleball Lounge ball there. You can set your mic down if you need to. Okay. It's been great having you on. We're going to put all your links in the bio on our social media, so that way we can help promote you best we can. So I really appreciate you coming on, telling us your story. We'll have you on again. Got 10 more stories to go with Jeff. So thanks very much for coming on, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. If you have any questions, you see me on the courts, let me know.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on.